So my name's Owen, and this is my wife, Suzana.
Hello.
We make this comic together. This is the first time I've recorded the process of like sketching, inking, coloring, and then done that with the intention of putting it on YouTube. I guess this is probably the first one I'll put up on YouTube, and I figured like it would be kind of fun to do like, I don't know if I want to do like a commentary track or whatever, but I feel like if I occasionally put little bits of commentary in with the sketching and stuff, it'll be kind of fun to just kind of like break it up. I mean, if you're watching it anyway.
Yeah, I can kind of explain through things that are going on the page.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like a thought that I have in the middle of sketching or inking doesn't really translate outside of the actual process.
Yeah.
You can see what it was along the way.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun. And like when we watch videos like this, like when we watch back our sketching and stuff, sometimes we even say to each other like, oh my god, that's what I was thinking then. So I think it'd be kind of fun to, I don't know, have some record of it. For starters, the word bubbles I use at this stage usually aren't what makes it to the end of the page, so
Right.
But I kind of like to get a feel for what the size of the word bubbles is so that Suzana can adjust her base sketch to kind of make it fit.
Yeah, this is the first cycle of the actual sketch process.
Yeah. I don't really know, I guess, what kind of format I want to do with these going forward. It's just like, I really like editing video.
Right.
I really like working with Premiere, and I really like, I don't know, I like the idea of being able to watch some of these back myself later, because every time I save them, I love watching them. You know what I mean? So I don't know how interesting it's going to be for readers and stuff to look back at it, but like, I don't know, if you occasionally want to dip in and see the process, I think they're gonna, because it takes us so long to make these pages, even at like 1,000 times speed.
Yeah.
It takes a while. Do you know what I mean, to watch them? What's it?
I just caught a mistake that I made there. Because I drew him in the wrong jacket for a second, and in drawing it in the second panel, I realized
you
that
put Milo's jacket.
I had to go back over and do that.
I love stuff like that. I think that's why I love watching them back. You know what I mean? I love, because sometimes I'll miss that you did that.
Yeah.
Even
to be fair, I kind of try not to get caught. But I just called myself out.
I like that that you try not to get caught, but you're the one who points it out. I really like that.
I just want to call out my past self for trying to get away with it, because I still caught myself.
I love that. Yeah, I really like, I don't know, I really enjoy, like when we were streaming more regularly, I really liked, I really enjoy getting to watch you sketch.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I really like watching you ink. Because when we don't do that, it's not something I always see. I obviously I color, so I see all of the panels in pieces, and as we go through, sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to like slightly tweak this and stuff. So I do end up seeing a lot of the pieces as they go, but I don't know, there's just something about the process I really like watching. So
yeah, so much changes by the end of it, and it's like, there's always that thing of like, oh, you lose a little bit of life when you go to inks.
That's yeah, you know,
when you go from sketching, you see a little bit of the extra lines that give the shape like a little more life and energy. Yeah,
there's like more movement in sketching, I think. I also really, because of that, recently I went through and saved the sketches.
Yeah. For
every page. I've been putting them up on the Patreon, and
even some of the lost sketches.
Yeah, from the panels of like deleted panels that I didn't like, and I was like, Suzana, can you please redraw this? I don't like it that much, but it's really cool to see them, and it's so interesting. Like, I don't know, every sketch is like a time capsule, where it's like I can remember when we made that page, where we were when we were making it, and like what my mindset was as we were making it. As I find like the deleted panels and stuff, like deleted sketches from panels that didn't get used, I can remember why I wasn't into it at the time, or like what my mindset had been, like, oh, I wanted this way. And it's such like a cool thing to go back and see. Do you know what I mean? To really like pull apart, and I don't know, it really is like a time capsule where you get such a or at least I get such a like a return to that day where we made that page. It's so cool. Especially like there are some pages back in the archives that are like, we made them on the road because we were traveling at the time.
Yeah.
And I can remember like making that page in a hotel.
Oh my god. Yeah, I remember some of those too. Like sitting at one of those awkward like little hotel chairs.
The desks, yeah.
Oh, having to have like because I had the at the time I had the Cintiq 13 HD.
That's right.
So I had the screen, so I would have to set up my laptop and then the screen in front of it to be able to draw on. And then just sitting in those chairs was so bad for my spine, but then it's just like I gotta get the work done.
That's like the first time I think I've ever used the desk at a hotel was like trying to make it work. Do you know what I mean?
But we did quite a few pages like that.
I know.
Like, well, I shouldn't say quite a few. Like there's like maybe I could count all of them on one hand.
Yeah, but, like maybe like 5, maybe 6, but like that's pretty significant. Like
I have 6 fingers on this hand.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like it's significant, like to be able to say that 6 of the pages are made that way. It's just like I don't know, and I mean it's a very small percentage of all the pages we've made, but like that is significantly more pages than I ever expected to make. Yeah. At a hotel. Yeah, that's true. So we're in inking phase now. I kind of wanted to play with the speed that drawing plays back at, right? Yeah. So so this is kind of like a test run for what speeds I can, because I mean by the end of it, this thing is like it's like 56 minutes long. Yeah, but the whole process took maybe 6 hours by the end of it. Do you think so? I think that's the whole sum and total of the footage that I saw. God, that's math that I would have to do. I think it was in total about 6 or 7 hours, start to finish, which is a dramatic cut from what it used to be. And, that's true. Yeah, and it could easily like still get cut too. I think it could. Yeah. There's always ways that I'm trying to think of how to cut stuff. But yeah, I would say sometimes hitting a good stride makes all the difference. Yeah, I mean, I feel like when we record, it also goes faster. But yeah, it's so different. Using clip, each page is especially when it's very background heavy. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a way different experience. But it also depends on how many characters are in each panel. This page was particularly time consuming because I have 4 different characters and particularly panels where they all appear, it starts to become like, okay, because then you have to match them to their heights, and then you match them to their size. Yeah. And so it's a lot of little tweaking in the sketch stage to get them to like match across the board, getting the perspective. I was noticing that. Yeah. When I was editing this, want to watch it back, I think specifically, I wish I could control the page where it was at this point, but the last panel on this page, I was watching you do the sketch for it. Yeah. And it's really interesting. These are definitely the most time-consuming panels because it's 4 characters. Mm-hmm. 4 characters in the scene. They're all dramatically different heights. Yeah. And there's a full background behind them. So it's like, not only do they... I just thought it was really interesting because it's like, not only do they need to be the correct heights for each other, but like they need to be the correct heights for the building in the back. Mm-hmm. And I constantly forget how big people are compared to buildings. Yeah. And so when I see like photos, this is the colors also, Simon. I'll explain that in just a second. When I see people in photos, when people take like landscape photos and they have like a person in it, every single time I see that, I'm constantly like confused and surprised by the size of a person compared to a building. Oh yeah. It's very disorienting. Yeah. And sometimes when it comes down to like setting up in drawing, like particularly in a panel, which is a very limited sizing, especially when I don't make it the full page. Sure. You have to go with what feels more correct, because sometimes what is like, if I'm trying to like make it too correct, it can look very off, because it's like very often when you looked at a person, like you're gonna just see like the furthest part of the background. That's so true. But then you have to angle the camera just right that like you see a little bit of the ground, because otherwise it doesn't ground them and it doesn't ground the space, and it's just like a little bit of sky in a building. That makes sense. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. It's that thing that I keep hearing it all the time lately, where it's like if it's accurate, if it's accurately drawn but it looks wrong, it's still wrong. Yeah. I'm trying to like fold that into my mental space lately, but I definitely still am learning that myself. Yeah. I think that's like a lifelong learning thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, and sometimes like art is so subjective that sometimes even when you're doing that, you're still going to be like, well, right now it has to look wrong. Right, yeah. Because just whatever fits what you feel like it needs to in that moment. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, art's weird. Art is weird. That's why I don't do it. I just color. So
that is art. Look at that.
I mean, yeah. So it's so this is the part. Okay. So let me explain this process, I guess. So I have. It began with me taking on flatting in order to save you time, and then as I got more comfortable flatting, then I started to get at least a little more comfortable. Putting the right colors in instead of the flat colors. Because I started flatting by just putting, like Dr. Seuss kind of crazy colors all over the place. And then
orange and green
and lime green and 3 different shades of green and whatever. So as I got more comfortable with that, putting the right base colors in, then I started to get more comfortable shading and stuff. And I started to get more comfortable doing like detailed colors. And by the way, if you hear animals jumping around, it's my cat and my dog. That was the cat jumping into the office. So what was I gonna say? So Squally made me lose my train of thought. So as I got more comfortable shading, I got more comfortable doing like background details to do the full colors for the backgrounds. And so I've definitely found that I'm really interested in trying to learn anything that makes the pages faster to make. Yeah. If I can learn how to do it, obviously I'm not going to ink, I'm not going to sketch, I'm not going to ever really do the illustrative work. Yeah. Because I like that you do. I like your art. I like your art being the face of the project. I really enjoy that. But if I can make anything take less time for you, do you know what I mean? Then I want to be able to learn how to do that, right? Yeah. So now lately, what we do is, as Suzana inks, she passes me each panel, and on my device, I'll go ahead and color it. I'll try to color it up to match her speed. And
usually you beat me.
But that's a good thing. You know what I mean?
It is a good thing. It ends up working out really well for that.
Yeah.
But you can see right here, she's already finished that panel. We're still inking this one.
Yeah.
But this is 2 characters, so
yes, and the 2 silhouettes in the front too. But yeah, I really like that process, and then it's cool to record that too. It's fun to record it because then you see like the side by side what I can get done in the time that you're inking. Do you know what I mean? And then what how long it generally takes and the time I get to save. And I don't know, it's kind of cool. We were doing this on Twitch for a really long time, streaming it, and I really enjoyed it. I think the only reason we really stopped was because we started working a page ahead for Patreon, and we've yet to really figure out
how to make that work out.
Yeah, like how do you broadcast pages in the future on Twitch?
Because sometimes those are going to end up having spoilers that are going to be like, well, if you see the page ahead, you're going to already get the setup of the next page anyways. So
right.
It's like it gives a little too much away if you're like wanting to like follow the story linearly.
It was also kind of, even when we were on the next update, like the next update even before we were ahead of page, people would come in and be like, oh, he did it, he did that thing that I was nervous about, and it was like, it wasn't really a spoiler, it was only the next page. It was like, it was gonna be posted within the next 6 hours even in some cases, but like, but it would be like, oh,
sorry. You sure did.
You did it. So
it's bad. Sorry.
I guess it's like, it doesn't matter super like a lot. It's more fun.
It doesn't. It's just like it just feels weird.
Yeah.
How do you describe that? Because it's like, it's fine if someone like sees ahead or whatever, but it's just like, oh, well, then they're going to be able to like know what he's saying on the previous page. And it's like, oh, don't even worry about it. He does the other thing in the next one. It's like, oh, you're right.
Exactly. Yeah. So it
doesn't do anything. It's just like, oh, it's kind of weird. And especially like as a reader, I don't know, I would feel like kind of weird about it. Like,
but I guess if you didn't want spoilers, you could just not
you
watch.
Could just not go. But
yeah.
But sometimes, like, especially when you're doing it on Twitch, like, if I was like, oh, I needed to, like, pause and, like, take a break to stretch, then it's just, like, I have to write on the screen, like, oh, stretch break. And we have to take the time away. And here, this way, at least, like, when I say, like, okay, I need to pause for a moment, you can just stop the recording and come back to it.
The kind of cool thing about that is you can record and stream through separate channels.
Okay.
So I could just stop recording. I could simply stop recording.
You simply do that.
I'm just different.
Suppose.
I'm just different, I could say. But no, you're right. There are a lot of things that I would like to nail down to make the process a little more fluid and stuff. But I don't know, when we were streaming more regularly, I found it to be a really helpful practice.
Yeah.
I find that when we stream, we make pages faster.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I found that to be the case with even this page.
Yeah.
Recording it. And it is an overall fast process, but it sometimes ends up being time consuming when you're like easily able to be distracted by something. Or it's
right.
Like, I need to get up and go do something, but it's like when you're recording, you can kind of be like, okay, no, right now I can just keep going.
Yeah. I think there's something about like being recorded that makes me work better.
Yeah, I think I undo a lot less.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you find that's the case? That's interesting.
It kind of seems like it. Even as I'm like watching through here, the one thing that I really want to cut down on, and maybe this is there's like I forget what that layer is, where instead of raster layer, it's come on, vector. Vector.
Yeah.
If I used a vector layer and inked with that again, I was using that for a little while, and I can't remember why I stopped. I did find it made things faster because you'll see like I have I'll draw a line and then I have to go back and erase the other edge of the line.
Sure.
But with the vector, like you can
it has that clip
it.
that erase anything that crosses over.
Yeah, so like clip has something built in for that. And I was using it for a little while and it did make it faster. I think I stopped because faces would come out looking more stiff.
Yeah.
But like
you could just alternate.
Fine. Yeah.
You can alternate, like do faces rastered and do what?
I mean, for the same reason that I don't really work with real media, it's like it's very difficult for me to just tell myself to stop and then like switch layers. It's like, okay, now you have to stop and switch to another medium. It's like when I'm painting, I just use the same paintbrush. Even back when I was like trying to do like watercolor, or I would do what's that other paint that I used to do?
Oil.
Oh, not
acrylic.
Oil. Yeah, acrylic. When I do acrylic painting, like it would be like an obvious moment for me to switch brushes, and I'd just be like, nah, it's fine. And then I would just end up with this like huge chunky like part of the drawing.
So what you're saying is that you don't want to take the time to switch between the two types,
even though it'll save me overall time if I can actually just stop myself and switch. For some reason, my brain just goes, nah. I need to start a better habit. But, you know, it's... Nah.
Well, you should try it out on a page.
I have. I've done it.
Well, I mean, again.
I just simply stopped.
You should do it again, though. You should try it and see if you like it again.
You know, it sounds like a good idea, but we're going to have to see if my brain actually does it.
So, as of me editing this video right this second, we've finished... I would say 2/3 of the next page.
Yeah.
So if I record it, well, I have recorded it. If I post it, if this all ends up going up, and I will suggest gently when we go back in to record the last third.
Whoa, that is a lot.
That we try it out and see if you like it.
I don't know. I did already do half the page.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's not. If according to you, if you were to alternate between the two types, it wouldn't really even look that different.
You're right, but
I think we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
But also, you have to convince my brain to like do it.
I will. I'll gently nudge.
Okay.
I think it'll be interesting. Yeah, and then when we do this again for the next page, we can we'll what's it called? I'll mention it and see. And I think it'll be, I really think it's going to be an interesting tool to be able to like watch these back and be able to like see like, oh, was that successful? Was that not?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd prefer to get the,
I have to laugh. I was literally just looking at that. I was just like, I drew his shoulders too close together. I forgot that I did adjust it. And so it's like, I'm really glad, like, oh, thank God, past me did that. Because, yeah, I sure did do that wrong.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to watch. I really like watching it. Stuff like this I really like watching it back for exactly that reason.
I just caught myself and I was like, oh, that was a big mistake you did there. Oh, thank God you caught it.
I love digital media. What a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
Truly.
At the same time, like, I do like real media too.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's a real benefit to being able to just delete things like that.
I think with all tools, all tools have their pros and cons, right? Yeah. And I love real media. I really, really do. But I also love digital media.
Yeah.
I have such a fondness in my heart for it.
I definitely love both very equally.
Yeah.
I think like the benefit of real media that I've always found is like
Speed.
There's so much speed because you can't just correct.
Right.
But like at the same time, like if you do mess something up, you have to start over entirely.
Yes.
Or there's tricks that you can do. Like if you're inking and your thing's black and white anyways, you're not going to be adding color by the end of it.
Right.
At least not on the media itself.
Right.
You can like paste other white paper over top it and ink over top of the part that you messed up.
Right.
Which like a lot of professionals do that constantly. Like if you look at Craig Thompson.
Yeah.
Like if you look at some of his inked pages, if he has like a particular panel that he like didn't really like the way a shoulder turned out or something, he'll just paste a piece of paper over top of it and then re-ink it. And you know, like you can see it like on the actual paper itself, like you can kind of see the faded.
Can you really? Oh, that's so cool.
It's very faint, but it's like kind of cool to see.
That's gorgeous.
And then like this little chunk of new white paper with the new inks on it, and the inks always come out slightly different because any paper you paste over it is going to look a little different,
toothier or whatever. Yeah.
But when you scan it, it doesn't matter because it's black and white.
Right.
It'll scan into just a black and white. You're gonna probably have to go in and clean up some spare pixels.
Sure.
Because sometimes it's gonna scan in a little bit of the black and white behind, but for the most part, like it's the perfect workaround for something like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that a lot. There was a at the art museum in my hometown. There was a painting that had been like a whole section of it redone.
Yeah.
And it was old. It was like an older painting, and so like there was the section that had been painted over was starting to like kind of fade through to the top. That was like my favorite painting ever when I was a kid. I used to always want to go see the Ghost Lady.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's there's something so like haunting and cool about real media when you employ tactics like that to kind of like try to rework it. There's something really cool about like past layers and past attempts kind of like fading up to the surface. I really like that.
There's a ton of famous paintings that oil and like all the very old paintings with like I don't even know what you would call the I think you would just probably say oil, but like all these old paints that when they were overlaid over top of the older drawing, we can sometimes still, I don't know what the process would be. It's probably like an X-ray, something that they can actually scan the underlayers.
Like I want to call it like a. I don't remember. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I've seen some of those like come out so cool. It's amazing to see like what's underneath because sometimes you can see the actual sketch.
Oh, that's so cool.
So like a lot of like the really famous paintings that you'll see like pass around, like everything in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
I have to look that up when we're done with this. Yeah.
I follow a lot of like random blogs that just go over history.
Sure. I love that.
I just love history stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially like the parts that are very humanizing like that when it comes to like
that's cool.
You can see just their sketches. Like that stuff's so cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Like who is it? Da Vinci, I think, or Michelangelo. Someone's like grocery list that they wrote on the back of something.
Yeah.
Like it was recently going around where it was just like it's like they had their little grocery list, but because the person that would go and fetch their groceries for them was illiterate, they would have to include a little
I think it was
drawing.
Da Vinci. I think you're right. It was Da Vinci. Yeah.
It could have been Michelangelo though.
I think it was Da Vinci.
You think so?
Yeah.
I just really loved seeing it because it was just like, okay, now I handed it to you and I was like, can you guess what each of these things are? And we had no clue.
I think I guessed like 3 out of the 10
like
or something like that.
Bread and fish, but it's just like the actual thing was just like 3 herrings, specifically herrings, and then like 2 sardines. And...
I think one was wine, so it was like grapes next to a cup or something like that. That's cute.
It was funny.
Yeah, I love that.
I definitely recommend looking that up. You could probably find it with like painters.
Sure. I'm gonna look that up, and I want to look up X-ray. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out what I have to look it up to see it, to see like the sketches and stuff under the paintings.
I bet I could find it again. I saw it kind of recently because I was just going through some like really cool
I love
artwork
that
things. It's probably even on one of the like little reference blogs that I keep to just reblog things onto to keep for interest later.
Sure, yeah.
Just like studying that stuff. It's fun.
Do you see? Sometimes I do this where it's like I'll hit the crop. Do you see what I mean? And then also, so recently I'll use the, what's it called? Let me squint and see if I can. the auto select tool to grab the entirety of the shade, right? So it selects all of the same color. And then I can apply a gradient on it to like soften it.
Okay.
But with these redheads, I highlight their hair color with their skin color. So twice on this page, I gave Dylan black eyes.
Oh.
Because I was going back into, because his highlight shade is the same as his skin color.
Yeah.
And so I went back. It took me a second to, I mean, I don't know if I just caught it. You could probably like go back and forward to see that I had done that. But yeah,
That's funny.
I hope I hadn't done that on previous pages and missed it. So I might have to eventually go through and just make sure that that is not the case. But yeah, his hair highlight color is his darkest skin color.
Yeah.
So when I go to soften the highlight so it's not quite so stark,
yeah,
I gave him black eye. So
that's funny. That's actually a tip that I learned way back.
I learned it from you. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget what I learned it from. I really wish I could remember.
Yeah.
There was at some point where because I love redheads. Like I love red hair. I think it's so pretty. So
we have so many in our comic.
I just keep making redhead characters.
Yeah.
And if you tell me like, hey, you want to make a character, it's like
they're just a redhead. Yeah.
I don't know why. I secretly want to be a redhead, so I just
yeah.
So,
I don't blame you. I love it.
But
it's fun to color. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
It really is nice. But somewhere along the way, like I learned like if you if you go to shade red hair, it always looks best if you use the skin tone to do the highlight part. So I don't know what context it ever came up in, but ever since
it's been
I
very helpful.
I just like I've done it with every character that ends up having red hair.
It always ends up working out for me.
Yeah. And it doesn't really work with like brunette as well very often. High school. It doesn't really work with brunette hair very often.
No.
And not at all with blondes.
No.
Although I guess with blondes in some shades you can use the darker skin tone to shade the hair depending on how light it is.
Sure.
I've seen that done to some really good success.
I'd love to play with that more.
Yeah,
to be honest.
We don't really have a lot of like active blondes. Like
no.
Archie was our active blonde for a long time.
That's true, but I do have some projects in the pipeline that I probably do have a lot more blondes in them.
Yeah, well, Doc, one of the main characters.
Yeah, Be Still too.
Be Still.
So I really and we're coming up to a point where we could spend a lot of time in the near future really solidifying some character designs because like for a lot of the projects that we'd like to start in the near future, we have concept art. We've been, the entire, you make a character, you want to draw him, we draw him for like a week, you know what I mean? And we'll pass sketches of him back and forth and we'll, design a character that way. But like when it comes to, when you're sitting down to actually do the project, obviously you take all that concept art and you're like, oh, maybe I'll use this. Actually, I don't like any of this. Let's start. You want to solidify it to something that's like kind of, this is fun to draw, easy to draw, quick to draw, recognizable, and has a silhouette that you're going to keep consistent throughout the project.
Yeah.
And so that's like your final, you know what I mean? I'd love to, in the near future, do that with a couple of our characters. And in doing that, I'd love to sit down and experiment a little bit with the colors on them too. Yeah. Because like when I look back on Toy, we started in the blue tones.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I had an idea of like, I knew Liam was brunette. Yeah. I knew he had like kind of an olive tone to his skin. Yeah. You know what I mean? I knew what shade of brown I wanted for his hair. We knew, Milo was a little darker, that he had red hair. Yeah. We knew these things about them, but like I never picked colors.
Yeah. We never actually like really had a palette set out. We just knew what they looked like.
Right. And nor did I really do a lot of illustrations of them in color. You know what I mean?
Most of my drawings before
were sketches.
The comic were sketches.
Yeah, or like maybe line art.
Yeah, I did some color drawings. I had 2 paintings that I did with them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But you know what I mean? Few and far between.
Yeah. And there was a while there where we were playing with their colors. We were playing with their designs and changed them around a little bit. And we went back to what we originally had. Exactly.
So I knowing now, looking back on Toy, and knowing, how much things got tweaked up and how much things changed. Even though, like, it was still kind of like, this one's brunette, this one's redhead, you know what I mean? Bisbee's wandering. you know, even though I knew that, I'd love to, like, spend some time and care.
Yeah.
Really thinking about, like, palette work.
Yeah.
For new characters. Yeah, I just think it'll be really fun.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
There's a lot more I understand about color. I'm no expert by a long shot, but there's a lot more I understand about color now than I did about... I mean...
Experience.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I have so much to learn still, and I'm not nearly as good as I'd like to be. But, but I think it would be a really fun project to go through and do that sooner than later. Do you know what I mean? And to kind of give it some thought.
Yeah, I feel like we've been doing that more and more with particularly Be Still.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters have been getting some redesign work and re-solidifying.
Yeah.
And it's always like a lot of fun, just because it's
I love it.
Yeah,
it's the best part. Yeah. It's more fun than making the pages.
I don't know.
It depends. It really depends.
Really depends. Yeah.
It depends on my mood.
I like getting them life, but
yeah,
the character design process sometimes gets frustrating because I'll draw like the same character like 50 times, but just tweak the eyebrows.
Right.
And it's like I just don't feel like these eyebrows look like him yet, but I'll do it on paper because like that helps my brain to think sometimes is to draw it on paper.
Right.
But when I do that, I just have to draw the entire face over and over again because I can't just like on digital media change layers and draw the eyebrows again.
You could this is dumb, but you could draw it, right? Draw the face. Print print like a sheet of like 50 of them with no eyebrows or hair, and then just like draw.
You know, I feel like I've seen someone do that.
It's okay. Not a bad idea. I don't mean it's dumb as in it's a dumb idea. I mean it's dumb. Just the idea of it.
I feel like I have seen someone do that with some success, and
I mean, okay, so it's not a dumb idea if it works. Yeah. If it works, it's genius, and I'm genius.
Yes, you are a genius. Thank you.
Yeah, you should do that. And I think more specifically when I say it's dumb, I think of the final product, and you just have a piece of paper with like 16 of the same face or whatever, and each one like slightly different facial expression. I'm
just like a weird and modern Andy Warhol.
Yeah. You could do like a slightly offset color application.
Like a kind of anime boy over and over.
Oh, by the way, I lost the what's it called? My capture for this part. So I was coloring, but my iPad had stopped connecting. So it's pretty brief actually, but in case you're wondering why there is a gray screen.
It's a beautiful beige.
Isn't it? This was me coloring.
Yeah. It's very lovely. I see that you're going for a snowstorm approach.
Yeah, I'm very minimalistic.
Nice.
Very modern.
I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm very modern. It's great.
I can appreciate the minimalism.
Yeah, I was mad but I caught it kind of quick. But
see, I had to change her height.
Oh, interesting.
But it's specifically because I drew the sketch up kind of high, and because I also had to adjust Molly. So sometimes I'll just go ahead and keep inking instead of moving the sketch. I'll just ink it, and then I'll move the inks after.
Sure.
So you'll catch me moving things around sometimes.
Sometimes you'll catch me moving things.
Sometimes they say you still see me moving things.
Yeah.
So I think that background's fully inked.
Yeah.
I had inked it first because I did have to adjust it for where they were.
Right.
And I figured like it was easier to adjust them after I went ahead and inked it, because then I could just move them up and down depending on how high I need them standing.
Sure.
Sometimes you'll end up seeing me put like a million perspective lines to line them up to buildings, but sometimes if it looks correct, just keep going.
Right. I swear to God, I watch like, especially when I'm watching back the playback, like stuff like this, but even like when you were doing streams and stuff, I'd watch you put perspective lines and I'd be like, question mark? You know what I mean? Like, I cannot make sense of it at all. And then you draw the line for the background and I'm like, I don't see how that line came from it. It just looks like pure chaos, and then it just happens to be the right line.
Yeah.
I don't. It's very. I remember. What did I? There was some project. Please don't fight, guys. Yeah, come up here. Okay, hi, Squelly.
Yeah. He's interested that we're talking. So
yeah.
He likes to engage.
They get very like bothered when we talk a lot. Yeah. There was some project. Do you remember what it was? That I was trying to actually play with the perspective lines in Clip for the first time. Do you remember what that was?
I think it was something for Be Still, maybe? When you were setting up one of the buildings?
Maybe. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like, literally,
we were planning out the, what the building would look like, I think.
It was either a building or a room, maybe, for, like, one of the first scenes of Be Still. I wanted to, like, give it a go and to try to, like, do an illustration with a background. You know what I mean? And I tried using the perspective lines, and it was so beyond my brain's ability to, like, hold in my head. I don't know. It's because the tool exists for if you already understand the practice.
Yeah.
Right? You can't use the tool if you don't understand what you need the tool for. Right? Like, you just... It lines you up in a way that, like, if you don't know how to line things up, how would it be helpful to line things up?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was beyond me.
Yeah.
Like, truly well beyond me.
Yeah.
And I was so... So sometimes I'll sit here and I'll, like, watch you put the perspective lines on a background. And I'm just like... I'm watching to try to understand. By the way, this is those Dr. Seuss flats. I use them especially for background colors.
Yeah. It's easier.
Yeah, it does make it a little easier. Yeah, I literally, I'll stare and I'm like, this time I'm gonna understand it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure, and I literally cannot absorb it. It is just true. I'm not very spatially oriented. I can't think in space.
Yeah.
I can't think in 3D.
Yeah.
And it is truly...
I think for a lot of people it is a struggle, and it's just like a different way of thinking, and I think a lot of people find it easier to think in different kinds of ways. Yeah. So it's like you think in like layouts a lot easier than I do.
I think in flats. I think in flat images.
Yeah, but you do that excellently. Like I kind of struggle with it. I think of things in a lot of spatial sense. I have trouble picturing an image, but I find it very easy to imagine spatially how space is. This entire school, I basically have mapped in my head.
Right. Like, you could walk around it. Yeah.
This school doesn't actually exist, but it's based on
pieces of real schools. Yeah.
There's like 3 other schools that I based it on, and then some fictional buildings that I created in there.
Sure.
And I know where they all are.
Right.
Like that furthest building back there that's colored green right now is Milo and Liam's old dorm.
Right. I remember that because that, well, it's gone now. Yeah. But that lawn next to it is where...
behind it.
Okay.
From where we're looking right now is where Kat and Penny had the flower.
The flowers and the leaf blower, yeah.
And then the middle building there that's like in between him and the twins right now.
Sure.
That building is where the
locker rooms.
No.
Good guess.
Good guess. So that's like where the dance took place. The Halloween party.
Okay.
So they went out of those doors right there. Right. In the bottom left corner, you can see some doors.
Is where he dragged him out of.
That's where he dragged him out of. And if you notice on the first time that we come into this scene, when Milo's walking through this area, you can see the tree back in the background. Right. That Milo first kissed Liam.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see the bench, and I drew some students there, so it kind of like calls attention to it. But no one noticed it.
Yeah.
I noticed it.
I think it's really difficult to like spatially remember. Like let's take an example that is smaller, right? We see their flat a lot. We see their apartment a lot, and I have a pretty good understanding of the layout of their apartment. I kind of, like, I know their kitchen/living room area. I know how that connects to the stairs that goes up to the storage room above it, right? I have a pretty good, I don't map things spatially in my head very well, but I have a pretty good understanding of their flat, just because we've used it a lot. We've done, like, a very, very basic layout for it before. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand and can visualize their flat in my head, right? But if you were to draw an area of it, even drawing it perfectly accurately, I might not recognize it. Yeah. To see a background, like if you were like, okay, I'm putting this panel here. Let's say for whatever reason I hadn't thumbnailed it. You know, like you put your own panel in and you picked a random spot in the apartment in order to show. I might struggle to actually piece that background in to the larger flat that I do have a pretty good understanding of. Yeah. Especially like...
That's the door, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha, yeah. Especially if... Yeah, especially if it were like a part of the flat I don't think about a lot. Like if it's in front of like the closet where he keeps his coats.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you put that in a background, I might struggle to piece like where is that in the flat actually.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's actually kind of funny that you say the closet where he keeps his coats, because right now he has some of his coats out
on the wall
in the living room in the wall.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of a funny thing that I do have so much of it mapped, but there's parts that we haven't really shown. Like there's a closet next to the bathroom, which in a standard apartment where they live, you're required to have this kind of storage space near it.
Yeah.
I think specifically it was something for wheelchairs or something like that.
Sure.
I remember seeing something about that. I was like,
but it's not wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, it's not wheelchair accessible, but there's something about that where it's just like it's a requirement in that area.
That's interesting.
So I went with it. I thought it was funny.
Sure. But he has so many coats that he has to hang some up.
Yeah, I thought it was funny to have like so many coats hanging in the living room. But he also has this second closet where if you open it up,
it's all coats.
That's where his other coats and shoes are.
Yeah.
So the one time that I think that we actually see that is right before he's going on the trip
train
up to see Archie. He's getting a coat out of that closet.
Yes.
And it's so brief because Milo's like just all over him.
Yeah.
But it's very funny to me that closet exists.
Yeah. It's really like when you drew that, that's kind of what I was talking about before, about like I can envision this apartment fairly well, but like sometimes you'll do a scene that's in a specific part and I'm like, where is that?
It's just like I haven't had a chance to address it yet.
But that's what I mean,
funny.
is like it's hard to hold backgrounds in your head sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't blame you. I mean, I feel like it's like a really common thing, because for me, I didn't learn perspectives until after high school.
Yeah.
So my first actual art teacher, I went to like a small college, and like it was only for a couple of years, but I had like a couple art teachers, and my first art teacher in there was the first one to actually really push for perspectives, because my high school art teacher never really cared about that stuff. Didn't try.
Yeah.
So when he actually was trying to teach us that, it was so hard to fold into my head. Like, because what he actually did was he had us go out into the hallway, and the school itself was, it's all open. There's like a bunch of buildings that are around a promenade.
Yeah.
And they all have these little like balcony walkways that you can see the rest of the school when you walk on them. So the art class was on the second floor, so we'd go out onto there and we'd sit along it, and we would have to draw the other buildings. So they all lined up to this perfect perspective, and he was just trying to teach us like, all right, so you have 2 vanishing points here, and now you fill them.
Sure.
Really, like it was build up to eventually getting to like you would do one vanishing point in the room, and then it would build up to doing the 2 vanishing points outside, and then it would eventually get to like, okay, we're going to change the angle, and now you have 3 vanishing points, and so it's just like, so the 3rd vanishing point is always either up or down. And you'll see me use that sometimes in the comic.
I don't think I've literally ever done that.
Yeah, it changes. So it's like when you look up at a building, you know how the lines all have like their own perspective that's separate of its other 2 lines.
Suzana, you said you began that sentence with "you know how," and it's like, no, I don't. All right, point it out to me next time we're outside.
Yeah, I will. Like, I don't think there's any buildings in Tucson tall enough for that.
Yeah, fair enough. Downtown.
I guess there are. We'll have to go downtown.
Yeah.
I'll point it out. That'll be fun.
Oh, God. Literally, like, you suggest something like that, and I feel... Do you know what I mean? Like, you feel like a mechanical toy. Like a children's toy. Yeah. But, like, the gears inside it are, like, working a little too hard. So it's like you have, like, a toy... Let's say, like, a walking dog. Like, a toy dog. And as it walks, it's like... That's the sound that it makes inside my brain when you asked me to think about perspective.
I'm sorry.
It's very, Yeah, it's
perspective is hard. Like there's a lot of precedent for people not enjoying it. It took a little while for me to even actually process it, because he taught me the lessons.
Sure.
And like I still would struggle with it for a while, because I was just like, oh, this is so frustrating. I don't want to do it.
Right.
But it's just like eventually I started having to do it in other things, and then in doing that, I started to actually be able to fold it into how I was thinking.
Sure.
I still don't like to do it in traditional media.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. I can. It's just like, I've seen like tips and tricks for getting around it that are really good. Like
the string.
The string.
The string with the paper clips.
So you put a paper clip on each side, and then you use the string as your perspective line, which
sure.
is really cool, but also
I think that would be fun to play with one time, though. As long as it's not like for a serious project.
You have to have a very steady hand and patience.
You do, though, have a, compared to me, have a pretty steady hand.
I have like a fairly steady hand, but I still do I have the patience.
Well, that's why I say, like, if you did it for something that was like kind of a small project that wasn't like, let's say you're not doing it for like a page and it's like, oh no, if it's fucked up, like you have to, I don't know if I can say that. If I'm putting this on YouTube. That. Sorry. If, what was I going to say?
God.
If, oh, sorry, I literally have 0 followers. Who cares? It's not like I literally can monetize anything I put on this channel at all. It's not even an option.
It's fine.
What was I going to say?
Sorry, we cursed.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
We were doing so well, I think. Maybe we probably cursed.
Oh, I hope we were. Anyway. Anyway, if you did it for a project that was like, it doesn't matter if you mess it up because it's not getting attached to anything. It's not like something that needs a deadline. If it's not something that needs to be part of a greater page, it's not something that needs to be completed in order to like be something needs to depend on it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely thought about it. It's just a matter of like when I'm sitting down with something to be able to make anyways.
Yeah.
I also like. You kind of have to set up for something like that. And I have an art desk out there that I could use, but I would have to move things around to be able to
use it. Yeah.
I'd have to get the materials out again because I haven't like gotten out my materials to even be able to work with real media in ages. I've just been using a sketchbook and pens. Yeah,
for sure. I think it would be a fun thing to put on the agenda to do kind of soon.
It would be nice to play with. That kind of stuff is like fun.
Yeah.
It's just like, I have to set up.
Yeah.
But, you know, it wouldn't be a bad idea to, like, do some, like, moving things around and,
do some real media for fun. Yeah, for sure.
Make it some setup that can be, just for fun, drawing like that.
Yeah. I think it's important to fold back in some just for fun stuff.
Yeah. There's been a lot of, like, work catching up.
Yes, for sure.
And even now, I have to do a few more prints.
That's right. Yeah, we will do that.
I have the rest of the prints planned out for the year. I even have them base sketched. I just now have to go through sketch ink and then hand them to you for colors.
Well, I think that we're caught up in such a way that we can tackle that very soon. I'm so relieved actually with where our work schedule is right now, especially because I would say like the beginning of this year, this is 2020, the beginning of this year and the end of last year was like slammed for us. Like just not even like a lot of work, but just like always slightly shifted behind in time from when we would have liked it to be done. And there was always like one thing that was like preventing it from getting done, or like we had like a business obligation that we had to be somewhere for. And it was very, you know what I mean? It was very difficult. But then, we did upgrade the Cintiq. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever, okay. Yeah. So, I don't know if I've ever said it out loud.
It's apparently the Wacom Cintiq.
Okay.
I always wanted to call it Wacom.
Wacom, that's what I always thought too. It's Wacom. Okay. So the Cintiq, we upgraded the Cintiq to be slightly bigger, and I will say that I can't even quantify how much time it's cut.
It made a huge difference. A large part of what was getting into the way last year is that I had the 13 HD, which it's a great machine.
It is.
I still have it as a backup in case something ever happens. I can still use it.
Sure.
It is that great of a machine. And
sure.
I still offer it to you if you ever wanted to use it.
Yeah. I mean, I have the iPad, and I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that.
Yeah, so the 13 HD is a really great machine, but the problem is that we drove up to Toronto at one point last year.
Yes, for TCAF.
For TCAF.
Yeah.
And we had done Colorado right before.
Yes, Denver.
Yeah, Denver. And then, so those 2 road trips in a row pushed the pages back a little bit.
Yeah.
But then also I couldn't catch up on the prints.
Yeah.
But then also I couldn't catch up on the art cards.
Yeah.
And then the small Cintiq started to make it a little bit hard that my hand wasn't able to recover from
your hand. I completely forgot about that. Your hand was very badly damaged after that for a while.
I don't
How is it
even know
now?
why. A lot better.
Okay.
I've been stretching it a lot more. I've been trying to keep from doing cramped motions
Sure.
a lot.
Yeah.
And giving it a lot of rest. And that has made a huge difference.
That's good.
It did cause a lot of problems for that, like, months.
I was scared. I was very frightened. I actually forgot about it since then, but...
It was okay. Like, I promise I was okay.
Yeah.
For a lot of it, it's just like... I become more unaware of how frustrating it actually is. Because it just becomes frustrating that you can't keep up with yourself.
Right.
And I think that's always my biggest hindrance is like I don't recognize very well when something's hurting me.
Right.
But I recognize that I'm getting frustrated by some inability.
Something's stopping you, and that's frustrating, but you can't quite, until you stop and self-analyze what's going on, you can't.
It's very much like the switching layers, switching to different types of ink.
Sure.
It is very similar for me, where it's just like I struggle with observing that this is a thing that I'm
doing.
Feeling
Sure.
moment.
Yeah.
So that's something interesting to me that when we upgraded to a larger Cintiq, it has made a huge difference. The new pen with it also makes a huge difference because it's very like I'm not required to press quite the same strength. Like I don't have to be so cramped.
It's got more pen sensitivity.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only problem that I have with it is that the nib is very soft.
Right. So
it's
it degrades faster.
fast.
Yeah.
But I usually kind of use a little nail file to soften it again to take away the point, and then I can get a little bit more life out of it. But like one nib starts to show wear after like even a couple pages.
Is that real?
It's
like a couple weeks.
Yeah. It's such a pain where it's like I think it lasts maybe a couple weeks.
How many came with the tablet?
Like 4.
Oh my god, stingy.
I know.
I think I remember them being like a little pricey too.
Yeah,
especially compared to the previous models.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to like get more again.
Yeah.
But I've just been using the nail file and I'm softening them.
And it's been okay. Yeah.
It's been okay, but it's starting to become more of a troublesome thing because
right.
I start to use my old pen again, and the old pen requires harder pressing, which does make my hand cramp up, but it's like, well, at least those nibs are so cheap. They're like 10 cents.
How would you rate your hand health at this point in time?
Out of what?
10.
So like 10 is like the
good.
Worst.
No, 10 is the best.
10 is the best.
Yeah, 10 is the best.
Like a 4.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
Well, I do like use it all the time, and it does like have a lot of like pain and stuff. But like last year,
Suzana!
Well, last year it was like a 2 or 1 some days.
Okay. That's frightening. The fuck?
I use it all the time, so
Suzana.
I mean, compared to when like even like 10 years ago when we started the comic, like yeah, it's a 4.
Oh god, that frightens me.
Well,
all right, let's quit. Let's quit toy.
No,
just kidding.
It's very important to me. But also, I have very, very bad ability to recognize when I need.
All
to
right,
stop.
so this is what I learned from doing this, because I gotta wrap up. We got like 3 minutes left, just so we know. Okay,
yes.
here's the lessons.
This is the problem all artists have. So I'm sorry.
Okay, so this is the lessons I took away from this.
Okay.
We're gonna try using vector layers more often. We're gonna try to even switch between raster for faces and vectors for the rest of the art.
I will try to remember.
Okay. We're gonna try to do that. I forgot the second thing I said I wanted to remember, so never
Don't
mind.
worry about it. It's okay.
Forget that. And then the third thing, which is now the second thing, is maybe I need to get an egg timer that physically dings on you, because I know we've said like put it on your phone, put a timer on your phone.
It's so easy to forget.
It is so easy to forget, and I think you need something physical that will ding and vibrate on your desk and kind of shake you out of your headphones or whatever.
Well, I will say I had one on my computer that was
it like freezes up your program until
I didn't let it do that.
Suzana.
Because that becomes more of a hindrance. But the problem is when it's like, okay, it went off and it's like, okay, now I can stop. Usually I'm in the middle of something, and so it's like I have to finish that, and then I forget by the time I'm even doing that.
This revelation is the worst.
I'm sorry. I used it for a while, and then that just kept happening.
Okay, so all right. So here's I'm amending. This is the amended version of the lesson I've learned. I will get an egg timer. and I will put it on my desk.
I need a babysitter.
And then I'll start harassing you.
I need a hand babysitter. I need someone else to come in and take care of my hand for me because I am not doing a good
I guess,
job.
I mean, at that point, I might as well just put it on my phone. We'll figure something out.
Something will happen.
I'm gonna make a concerted effort. Look at this. Look how, this was already a very helpful process, Susanna. Look, I just learned a couple things that I need to now be extremely anxious about forever. And
sorry.
so that I can then fix them.
Oh no. Oh no.
But that's why I like doing these things.
Yeah.
I feel like you learn stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And now you caught me putting Dylan in Milo's coat for 2 seconds.
Yes, that's true.
And I caught myself drawing Milo's shoulders bad. And even now, as I look back at it, I literally, this was my last page, and I'm still like, I gotta fix it.
but it's fine.
That's what drawing is.
One more page under the belt, one more page under the bridge.
That's always what it should be.
That's it. And we move forward in time and we learn some stuff. And I find that this is a really kind of cool retrospective.
Yeah.
And now I have new things to be deathly afraid of.
Well, not deathly.
Okay.
It's okay.
Physically, mortally afraid of.
Oh my god.
So that's that. So, all right. So if you watch this, thank you. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you.
I had a great time making it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to make
Even
more.
if this is just for us.
Yeah.
It's good to do it.
I love doing shit just for us.
Yeah.
I really do.
First.
Oh, it's fine. Like I said, we literally physically cannot monetize a single thing we make, so it's all good.
It's fine. Whatever.
All good.
It's
so
just for fun.
It's just for fun.
Enjoy.
So thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.